Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki, Sean, and Ryan are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 67, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and joining me once again is my best pal, Brian Hall.
Hey, what's going on, Zaki?
How are you, man?
Doing well. This is kind of fun because we just recorded our Terminator 2 audio commentary. So normally we do the show bi-weekly, but we just did that last week. So gearing up tonight, it felt like, this is... we're doing this again a lot sooner than I'm used to. This is fun. I'm enjoying this.
This is good, yeah. And by the way, you mentioned the T2 commentary. I just want to thank everybody for the feedback they've given us on that. It's gone over really well. A lot of people have texted me and tweeted at me saying that they're actually watching the movie while they're listening to us talk. So that's pretty cool. We're glad you're enjoying it, and we're looking forward to doing another one. Yeah,
for sure. It's a lot of fun to do. I'm glad people are enjoying it.
It's the whole commentary process is interesting in and of itself because certainly watching T2 it brought a lot of memories back, so it was like talking through our childhoods almost. Yeah.
Well, and for being a movie that's over 2 hours long, I didn't even notice.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It was just fun to sort of watch.
Although I am glad that we stuck to the theatrical cut rather than the supersized director's cut.
For sure.
So, Brian, I got to say, I'm really glad to be here, back in civilization. This past weekend was my camping expedition.
Yes. When the prospect of this came up, the fact that you would be out there on a father-son camping expedition with other fathers and sons, not just an exclusive Hassan outing.
Yeah,
I could not wait for this moment right now to hear how it went.
You know, I gotta be honest. I'm very grateful that my son is in Boy Scouts and he's learning stuff and it's great. But his Boy Scouts is becoming a big annoyance to my life in general.
Why?
Well, because it's not just a matter of you drop your kid off and they learn how to make fire or skin a rabbit or whatever it is that they do there. I don't know exactly, but. We have to be there and we have to be involved. And there's some things I don't really need to be involved in as I figure this out.
Okay.
This camping thing, for example. So it's me and the boy, and he's 8. And so we go up to the place, and it's off in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I had 3G on my phone. I mean, what are we, savages?
Yeah, what was this, Russia?
Honestly, And so, first of all, I tweeted this, do not go camping within days of watching The Walking Dead season finale. because I was an abject terror as soon as the sun set.
Right.
But so we're in the tent. First of all, the scheduling was not ideal because it was like the coldest night in history, I think. Anytime
you go camping, it's always the coldest night.
Well, there you go. So they planned it that way. And so like my sleeping bag is like a little bit thinner, so I had taken an extra blanket just in case. My kid didn't have an extra blanket. So now we're wrapped up, and I'm in my bag, and he's in his bag, and it is freezing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like 3 a.m., I can't sleep, I'm cold, and then, my kid is like, he's awake, and he's like, I'm cold. Can I have your blanket?
Yeah.
And at that moment, I'm like, how much do I love this kid?
Yeah.
Because I was cozy, and for about 5 solid seconds, I wanted to just pretend I was still asleep.
Right.
But I lost feeling in my legs. Like about halfway through the night, I couldn't feel my legs anymore.
Wow.
So I'm like...
Were you in a tent?
We were in a tent.
Okay.
And it was sub-zero. Like, it was, if I had looked out and seen mammoths walking around, I would have been like, oh, okay, I believe it.
Right.
I couldn't feel my legs anymore, and I was sure, like, I had made peace with my legs being amputated in the morning. Like, that's where I was at.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to be a problem. I haven't filled out the medical form. Like, how does this work? I was at that place. So the next morning... I told my kid, I was like, forget it. We're not doing this another night. So I actually cut it short. I came back.
Wait, it was 2 nights?
It was a 2-night thing, which is bonkers.
Yeah. And you only did one night.
We did one night. So we stayed the rest of the day, and then I was like, get in the car, we're going home. He's like, I want to stay. I'm like, you can stay by yourself. I'm driving my ass home.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, I'm not doing another night of that. Well, you know what I realized, Brian, I'll tell you, is when you think about it, the founding fathers of this country camped out. They slept under the stars. They slept in the woods. And they did all this to create our civilization.
Right.
To create a world where we have central heating and houses and running water. So you know what I realized is us sleeping outdoors is really tremendously disrespectful to the founding fathers of this country.
Founding fathers?
That's what I realized. I was like, it's disrespect. I don't feel right disrespecting their sacrifice.
What about the other fathers that stayed out there with their kids?
I don't care about them. but yeah.
Did you at least make up some sort of excuse, like a sick aunt or something?
No, I said, look, man, it's cold. Y'all can stay here. I'm going home. And it turned out that it was like the second night was even colder than the first night. So I'm like,
wow.
Forget it.
Yeah.
I don't have to sleep outside.
Yeah. Well, and you did it. You did it.
Exactly. And I left. So I feel like I satisfied some goal that I set for myself, but I'm not looking
as long as your son had fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Because he's doing a lot of complaining about how he only got to sleep there one night. Mm-hmm. You know, these kids, I'll tell you.
Kids.
But regardless, I'm back just in time for us to record our show. So, I mean, what's new and exciting in your world?
Oh, let's see. Well, it was Easter weekend this past weekend. Had a 3-day weekend, so hung out with some friends, and I also got to watch some movies, which is why we're here.
Did you watch the Ten Commandments?
I saw part of it. When I was growing up, that was like a tradition, get to stay up and watch 10 Commandments. I love that movie. And, I only caught about an hour of it yesterday, but that's still, an hour goes a long way with that movie.
Well, so you watched 1 hour, which is basically 1/8 of that movie, because I think it's...
Yeah. And, I fell asleep. That was how I knew I was growing up. I could actually fell asleep before the ending this year. So I tried.
Well,
but I did get to see the slaves freed. So,
so you got the gist
on a happy note. Yeah. But I also watched, on a less happier note, Walk Among the Tombstones.
Yeah.
Starring Liam Neeson. And good Lord, that movie is grim.
It is.
I was not expecting that. I told this story a week ago or so. What was that Liam Neeson movie? 2015, Part 2. Not Taken 3.
Run
All Night.
Run All Night, yeah.
Run All Night. It's not a great movie, but I still enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And I came home and forgot that we had an unopened copy of A Walk Among the Tombstones here at the apartment. I was like, are you kidding me? I get another Liam Neeson movie? 3 Liam Neeson movies in 1 year for Brian? So anyway, I had some time, so I watched A Walk Among the Tombstones. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting it all. I was expecting Liam Neeson to avenge a family member and run around and shoot some stuff. But this is a very different movie, and not necessarily in a bad way. It's from Scott Frank, who wrote Minority Report and Out of Sight and Marley and Me.
Is that? Oh, he did Marley and Me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but anyway, this is it's based on a book, or a series of books, I should say, about a character named Matt Scudder, like an alcoholic, disgraced cop who, I don't know, becomes a private eye or something.
It's based on my life.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this movie, in a lot of ways, reminded me of Silence of the Lambs, actually. Where you've got like a really twisted villain, and there's a pair of villains. Yeah. And you get little glimpses into their grotesque, violent, sex-fueled escapades, and it's pretty brutal, actually. And anyway, so someone hires Liam Neeson to try to go find the people who killed his wife. The person who hires him, his wife's been killed, and he wants Liam Neeson's character to go find him. But anyway, I just wasn't expecting this to be so gritty. Some of it honestly turns your stomach a little bit. But I do appreciate that Liam Neeson is making something a little bit different than the sort of stock Neeson movies he's been putting out.
Yeah, it's a shame it didn't do better.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, if you can stomach it and you want to see sort of, it's a procedural. Let's say, like if you want to go see a procedural, not necessarily an action film. I mean, I kind of, that's what I enjoyed about it, was he goes into a building and he finds a clue, and where's this clue lead, and it's a little more deliberate, and it's the way it doles out the story, and so yeah, it was. I would say not for the weak, people with weak stomachs or anything necessarily, or weak constitutions when it comes to people being tortured. But
and it came out last fall, and I don't know if you remember, it came out about a week before The Equalizer.
Yes.
And so The Equalizer pretty much stole its thunder for angry old man action movie.
Vigilante or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But it was. But I didn't dislike it. I guess I enjoyed seeing something that was a little bit more deliberate in its storytelling.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but then I also saw on a different note, I saw Get Hard, Kevin Hart, Will Ferrell.
Which did we talk about that last time? I can't remember.
I don't know that we did. Did you see it? I
did see it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Maybe we did talk about it. I don't recall, actually.
No, I don't think we did.
Okay. Well, what did you think of it?
I was hoping to like it more than I did. Mm-hmm. First of all, this is just an observation I have. Kevin Hart, I find his stand-up to be far funnier than his movies.
I was saying the same thing when the movie was over. I was like, Kevin Hart is talented, and he's very funny, but I don't tend to like his movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly why that is. I don't know. I still don't know exactly why that is. I just feel like he is capable of saying funnier things, and his energy being used in funnier ways than what ends up on screen. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my personal reaction was I laughed at a few things, but some of it felt weirdly restrained, and then some of it, honestly, I'll be honest, I was really uncomfortable because it just veered into borderline racist humor, borderline homophobic humor, like it's stuff that I just, as somebody sitting in the audience, I didn't find particularly funny.
Yeah, it really, say it's 90 minutes, like an hour of it is basically prison rape jokes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, like, we get it. Like, do one little take on that and then move on to the other elements of prison. And honestly, like, it didn't really even have a plot.
No,
it's
it didn't.
Just, all these little training scenarios that Kevin Hart tries to get Will Ferrell to do to prep for being in prison.
Right. I mean, you should kind of explain the premise just to...
Yeah. So it's funny sometimes we start talking as if other people have seen it with us. But basically, Will Ferrell plays this financial investor who gets framed wrongly for doing shady dealings, and so he's going to go to jail, maximum security prison, and he's this really affluent white dude, and he's afraid of what's going to happen to him when he goes to jail, so he hires a black dude who washes his car because he thinks he's been to prison naturally, so he can train him how to survive on the inside. And that's the movie, basically, is just like an hour of like training scenarios for Kevin Hart, who has never been to jail, but he pretends like he has.
Right.
And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there were moments where I laughed, but they were fewer and far between than I would have liked.
I thought there's one moment where they simulate a prison riot, mm-hmm. and that was probably the funniest moment for me.
Yeah.
And that's in the trailers, but I don't want to spoil it just in case you do end up seeing it. But not you, the audience. But yeah, I don't know. I was disappointed. I did like what I saw of Alison Brie.
Right. If you had any doubts about the cuteness factor or hot factor of Alison Brie, this movie will lay all those to rest.
Cement that.
Yeah.
And Craig T. Nelson was another character, let's say.
Yeah, and there was a trailer for the Poltergeist remake before the movie, and then I saw Craig T. Nelson. I was like, oh, funny.
Well, don't worry about Craig T. Nelson because they're bringing back Poltergeist without him, but they're bringing back the show that we've all been waiting for, the one we've been wondering what have these characters have been up to in 20 years. Coach is coming back to TV with Craig T. Nelson.
Isn't that funny? It was like Arrested Development. It was like people were clamoring for this, and then it came back and it was a miracle.
Yeah.
And now it's like, and now we're getting Coach. Coach is back.
This is bizarre because Coach is the tip of this 80s, 90s retro iceberg that is colliding with humanity right now.
Right, yeah.
Because we've got the X-Files coming back.
Oh,
yeah. Right, we got Twin Peaks, which is, that's been dealing with some creative issues, but as far as we know, that's coming back. A Coach, again, and then we just announced earlier this week, Full House.
Hold on.
Yes.
I might check that one out.
You should have said, cut it out.
You know what? I'm not. Yeah, I will watch the first episode of the Return of Full House.
Now, apparently, the Return of Full House, which is actually called Fuller House, by the way.
Is it really?
It is. That is the actual title, Fuller House.
Okay, sure. Well, you have to.
Well, sure. I think the only question that people are going to have is where is Michelle? Because
because they're not coming back.
I doubt very much the Olsen twins are in a hurry to reprise Michelle.
I didn't even think about it that way because she was like just this little stuffed animal that would walk around and put her thumbs up. Like, cool, you got it, dude. But like, yeah, she would be like a fully formed character now. That'd be really weird.
Yeah, and this is a Netflix series, so I don't think they can afford the Olsen twins.
Yeah, well, hey, they got Kevin Spacey.
Good point. Okay, touche. Oddly enough, that's actually what's going to happen is Kevin Spacey will play Michelle. Because getting Kevin Spacey is cheaper than getting Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Stop getting me more excited about this.
It's Full House of Cards.
Oh. Bravo.
But yeah, so that's an actual thing that's happening, and it's funny because that story went up on April 2nd. So
right, just in case we don't want anyone confusing this with April Fool's Day.
Exactly, it's like they planned it out. They're like, no, we need to make sure we put it either a day before or a day after, otherwise people are just going to shit all over the story. But yeah, that's a real thing that's happening. So
yeah.
So and I'm going to say this on behalf of Sean Coyle, because who we're remembering in absentia. Where is the Perfect Strangers reunion?
It must be coming. Can you imagine if they recreated the TGIF block, but with all the old shows instead of coming up with new shows?
So Family Matters and Perfect Step by Step.
Mm-hmm.
We already revived Patrick Duffy's 80s show, which is Dallas, so we might as well bring back his 90s show, Step by Step,
It all makes sense now.
Sasha Mitchell, he's probably out of jail by now after beating his wife or whatever.
I forgot about that.
Right?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's true.
So lots of fun. Honestly, a lot of people are upset by this stuff. Like, aren't there any new ideas? And you know what? Honestly, I'm enjoying this moment because this is our moment for a little while.
It is very true.
Right.
My brother says this all the time. He's like, look at how weird commercials are.
Mm-hmm.
Like the humor in commercials is so abstract and bizarre. And then you got shows like this coming back, and like Inspector Gadget is now like back on Netflix, and all the stuff we liked when we were kids is now back. He's like, It's our time. We got to enjoy this because soon they will take it away from us.
We have this window where suddenly we're going to be watching That's So Raven reboots, and
we'll be like, what is this crap?
Yeah, exactly. So unlike a lot of people, I'm just taking it in and I'm appreciating it because we're old timers now, even though people don't like us talking about that.
Yeah,
but it's
Michael.
Now speaking of new releases, and this is something we don't need to save for the spoiler portion, but Going Clear, this new HBO documentary.
I forgot we were going to talk about this. Yeah,
they got to you, didn't they?
Yeah, I've been having second thoughts, Zaki. Maybe it's not fair we talk about this.
Why should we discuss this, Zaki? It sounds like now this documentary is crazy. It got a lot of play at festivals earlier this year. This is an expose on Scientology. And what's fascinating to me is that it seems like all of a sudden everybody feels like it's okay to break bad on Scientology now.
Yeah, because people used to do it with a little, not like I would say half and half, like half wariness because they didn't want to speak out against something that seemed to, you know, have a lot of hooks out there,
Yeah.
you know, clawing on people, but also just out of like somewhat respect. But it's like, well, your belief is your belief, and my belief
I think
is
it
my
was
belief.
fear, Brian.
I honestly think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But I think this documentary went to show, you know, let's put their beliefs aside because, of course, everybody's entitled to their beliefs, but
Right.
practices are a whole different story.
Right.
And like what this, you know, organization is allegedly doing, and seems to be a lot of proof from high-ranking officials who have left this organization. You know, just abuse, like human abuse.
Yeah.
You know, it's just who, you know, whatever they want to believe, that's something that they've got to do on their own. But like what this thing is doing to people and has been apparently documented, and it's crazy. People missing, people dying, like babies being left in wards, like covered in flies, and just I don't know, crazy, craziness.
It's the documentary is based on a book by Lawrence Wright, which I actually downloaded the audiobook of that this morning, and I've been listening to that. And I highly recommend the documentary by Alex Gibney. It's great. But if you really want to dive in to just the batshit craziness that is sort of L. Ron Hubbard and his world, oh my gosh, you gotta listen to this book.
He does seem like a cartoon character, doesn't he?
He really does.
Like, he seems like a crazy cartoon villain. One of my favorite parts was, you know, the IRS is going after him because of, I don't know, just his crazy, he's not paying his taxes and whatnot. And so he's like, but everyone looks up to him like he's this respectable leader. And so he's just like, everybody, we're going to international waters, just so he can totally escape all the law that's coming after him. But everyone's like, yes, we will go to the water. You know, like, we will clean your boat for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
amazing.
When you look at it removed now, you're like, this guy is just crazy and like almost comical, but everyone just completely follows everything he does.
So if not even Battlefield Earth could make people turn against Scientology, why is it's suddenly happening now?
Well, I think for honestly what I just said, I think people are not quick to jump on other people's stuff, like what they're into or whatnot. But now it's gone beyond that. Like, this is about, you know, abuse. Yeah. And like that can't be ignored. And then also, you know, a big part of the documentary is the fact that they were able to become tax exempt and become like known as like a religious organization. But the way that they pulled that off was by like crazy, you know, chicanery, you know, like the way that they basically like blackmailed the IRS, you know, and that's like the only way they became tax exempt. And so it's just, there's just not an honest thing going on. Wow. With those guys. And so it's pretty fascinating watch. I'll say as a whole, I was really looking forward to watching it because anytime there's like big lengthy exposés on Scientology, I always enjoy reading them. Yeah. So I was looking forward to this documentary, but I did feel a little blobby, didn't it? Like it felt a little without form in some ways, and I was kind of. I think it's probably longer than it needed to be. Yeah, but there's a lot of interesting things throughout it, but it did feel a little shapeless, and I thought it could have had even more teeth to it, to be honest. Well, but then again, it was vetted by how many lawyers before it could air? So I mean, who knows? Too, yeah. Yeah.
Read the book is what I would absolutely recommend. Yeah. It's funny, you know, I remember back in the day, you remember when Adam Carolla used to be on Loveline, right, with Dr. Drew? Mm-hmm. I remember this is really the first time I became aware of Scientology was where he went off on one of these rants where he called them a bunch of druids. And so they were talking the next day or the next week or whatever it was, where they actually got a letter from the Scientology, the Church of Scientology, with a script that they wanted them to read, explaining that they're not druids. So they literally sent a script. So Adam says this, and Drew says this, like just to sort of basically CYA over the things that they said. Now that was the first time I became aware of sort of the tendrils of this organization.
Right.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, this if you have HBO Go or HBO On Demand, you can check this out. So do that. It's absolutely worth watching.
Yeah, HBO, man, they're killing it with their documentaries lately.
Yeah, there's some good stuff, which I'm very lucky to be able to watch. So, we have a listener letter here, though. Then this is from Bushra, and she asks, Have either of you watched Predestination? And if so, what are your thoughts? Have you seen Predestination?
No, I'm not sure what it is.
That's the Ethan Hawke movie.
Oh, no. Okay, I'll let you talk about it first.
Well, I actually, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to see it, but this is actually based on a short story by Robert Heinlein, right? Who by the way, was a contemporary of L. Ron Hubbard, called All You Zombies. And it was actually previously made into a film called oh my gosh, I forget what it was called, but it's a time travel movie.
Yes, my friend Michael, friend of yours and mine,
yes,
he saw it and he told me about it, and it is something that I think I would be interested in checking out. So I have not seen it, but it sounds pretty interesting. I think it's kind of a smaller film, right? I mean, just in terms of budget and whatnot. But I think it was straight to like VOD kind of a thing. But the premise sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah, it's and sorry, I was actually thinking of another movie with a very similar premise. But if you notice, that's kind of Ethan Hawke's thing, is that he does these like smaller, well-received movies. It's interesting because one of my students today was like, "Why hasn't Ethan Hawke ever broken through?" And I was like, "That's a good question."
Yeah, I don't know.
It's and that was a very cogent point that one of my students made, because he's been around so long. Everybody knows Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
But he's not a star in the sense that, he in the way that he should be, I would argue.
Yeah. I mean, Training Day is the last big, movie I can think of with him. That what I mean, was like a big movie with big, Denzel Washington and whatever. But otherwise, he's been in these sort of like smaller horror films.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Not doing bad work at all, but just in these smaller sorts of things. And what was the one with they're stuck in the house? The Purge. I just saw that recently.
The first one, right? The first Purge. Yeah.
It's probably not something I would have gone out of my way to see, but it was on HBO one night, and I just started watching it. And yeah, like it's like a bottle story, you know what I mean, where these people are just stuck in a house all night, and small little thing, kind of interesting, and like he brings it. I mean, he's a good actor, so he heightens whatever he's in. It's
disappointing that he hasn't become. I think I've said this before. He really needs a Marvel movie.
Sure,
just something. Give him something. I was hoping he'd be Doctor Strange, to be honest. He was my pick.
Or he could be like a True Detective sort of show or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Like a good HBO show.
Yeah. Vince Vaughn. Why does he need to be on that? Forget that guy. It's funny, actually. I'm talking about my students bringing this up, and they have occasional moments of real insight. But on the other hand, I had a student a few weeks ago who the assignment that I had given them was to take a movie and compare it with that movie's remake. And so they could pick whatever they want and just analyze both and sort of give a scholarly analysis of which is better. And so I had a student do Planet of the Apes. And so for 5.5 to 7 minutes, I sat there in absolute silence, my biting my tongue, my mouth filling up with blood, as this student explained why the original Planet of the Apes is a terrible, terrible movie.
Compared to Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes?
Well, compared to all movies, but yes.
Did he have any? I'm not gonna say good points, but I mean, did he make a good argument for his point?
I actually I went to Wikipedia and I just typed in the word "wrong," and this student's face was the end of this. It was like a mugshot style picture. It was. I honestly, I give myself a lot of credit because the level.
Wait, does he listen to the show? Should we say that before?
They do not, as far as I know.
Okay.
The level of patience and forbearance that I showed, in my opinion, demonstrated why I am a great teacher.
You are an American hero.
That's the way I look at it. Exactly. The story could have ended in a lot of different ways, but it ended with me saying, "Well, thank you very much. Let's give them a hand. Move on."
Well, see, and as your role as instructor, a film instructor, now you can try to bridge the gap, right, with this student, and hopefully by the end of the semester, this is the first act. Right?
There you
and
go.
then you teach and you show him and you meet him where he's at and show him some new films, show him some old films. He figures it all out. He has his film history filled in. And then by the end, he sees it in a whole new light.
There you go.
He appreciates it maybe even more than you.
Perhaps. Their hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
Now, just continuing Busher's question, she asks, speaking of predestination and your recent movie film commentary on T2, thank you for listening, by the way, what are your favorite time travel movies? And to this I say, well, Busher, as a matter of fact, we had an entire episode devoted to time travel, and that was in our early goings. So this is a chance to plug the back catalog of movie film
back.
episodes. Do you remember that, Brian? We did a whole episode about time travel. That was episode 6 of our show. Yeah. So we're talking October of 2012. We started the conversation by talking about Looper, which you and I both loved.
Uh-huh.
And then we went from there. So Bushra, you dig into the archives and find movie film episode 6.
And Back to the Future. That's just my answer.
Well, yeah, I mean that's understood. But if you remember, we actually kind of put Back to the Future.
We tried to go outside the box a little bit.
We did. So some interesting stuff there. So and I have not listened to the show, so I can't speak to the quality of the audio. Because I'm thinking if it was back then in single digits, you and I were sort of stumbling through what it meant to put the show together. But the content is there. So look that up. Any like I said, any chance to plug our back catalog, I'm down with, because we can't really syndicate the show, so it's like, well,
we're not getting that syndication bucks.
Yeah, so
we're not getting any bucks.
We are not. This is for pure love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do this. Now, obviously, time travel is a genre of science fiction that has a lot of conversation, but another genre of science fiction that has just as much conversation is artificial intelligence and the rise of robotic life forms, et cetera, and that leads into et
cetera.
That leads into a conversation I had with writer-director Alex Garland about a new film that's coming out very shortly after this episode called Ex Machina. And I don't want to spoil too much about this because this really is a movie that's best seen with, Brian, I've told you before, my policy, especially when I'm doing an interview, is I go in completely cold.
Right.
So I don't read the press notes, I don't watch the trailer, nothing. But it stars Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac, both of whom happen to be in the new Star Wars movie. And it's a sci-fi. It's actually very similar to Looper, only in the sense that it's a high concept idea executed on a minimal budget.
Mm-hmm.
But it does a lot of really interesting stuff. And Alex Garland, of course, wrote 28 Days Later. He also wrote Dread, both of which are movies that I loved. And so I had a chance to pick his brain about what the appeal is of artificial intelligence stories and also Dread and zombie movies. I got to ask him about that too. So I had a great time chatting with him. So let's go ahead and play my conversation with Alex Garland about Ex Machina.
So, starting things off, Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk have been warning us that AI is bad news, that we need to be afraid. Seems like this film is almost in that same continuum.
No. Total opposition.
Okay, I'd love to get your take on their take on AI.
Well, the thing about I don't want to comment on their take, because the thing is that quotes get decontextualized, and the sound bite of Hawkins is part of a bigger, more complex argument. And what happens is I'd inevitably misrepresent his position by talking about the soundbite. But what I can say is that, in my opinion, AIs are desirable. When I talk about AIs, I'm not talking about the AIs in video games and mobile phones. I'm talking about the idea of a strong AI, a self-aware AI.
Consciousness.
Essentially consciousness. Yes, a machine with consciousness, let's say. I think it's completely desirable and fascinating. That doesn't mean it's not dangerous. It's not without hazards. That's why in this movie there's a lot of parallels drawn between the CEO and inventor of Ava and Oppenheimer and the atomic bomb and nuclear power projects and stuff. That of course nuclear power has massive inherent dangers. It could destroy the world, but it also has huge benefits, and I'm one of those green types that's actually kind of into nuclear power because it's, to my mind, better than fossil fuel power stations and so on. So I see AI as being similar to that. There are potential dangers, but there are huge potential benefits. And more to the point, if something is possible, it then tends to happen. So someone, somewhere, if it is possible to create a sentient machine, will do it. In which case the question is not trying to talk about whether it should happen or shouldn't happen, but more how do you deal with it when it does happen. That's a much more pertinent question, because if it can happen, it will, and no amount of hand-wringing is going to stop it. And so I guess I'd frame the whole thing like that. And if you were going to then say, well, what's so good about AI, is I'd say two things. One is, I suspect about some things they'll be smarter and more reasonable than we are. And we may not instinctively like that idea, but we just need to get over ourselves. That's okay for them to be smarter and more reasonable than us about some stuff. There's a whole bunch of crazy shit happening all over the world, and there always is at any point in human history, and AIs might not do that kind of stuff as badly as we do. The other thing that I kind of like about them is that they feel like a sort of evolutionary progression from us, because we would have created them in much the same way that we create children and propagate our species, I guess, And they would have a life, and the life might be longer than ours and able to survive in different environments than we can survive in. And so whereas I would say our long-term future as a species is to die on this rock, that's where we're headed. That may not be true of an AI. The huge distances involved and the power problems, the energy problems involved in crossing massive, massive distances of interstellar space that are pretty much an insurmountable obstacle for us might not be an insurmountable obstacle for them. And so some part of us might survive through them, and a meaningful part of us, a part of us where almost in something which is analogous to a sort of genetic life. It's not a genetic life, but analogous to might continue. There you go. A long answer?
No, it's a great answer. I think just picking up on what you're saying.
Are you a tech writer? Or are you a film writer?
I'm a film critic.
Right. Okay. So is all this tech stuff just like really fucking boring?
No, I love it, and I love it especially because I feel like we're in the midst of, at least cinematically, a renewed period of analysis on this issue. It feels like...
Well, for sure. I mean, there's a ton of AI movies, in other words, and we're kind of late to the party, yeah.
Well, I think you've staked out kind of a unique position, though, because certainly, like, we're a month away from the Avengers, which is going to be tackling that question from a blockbuster perspective. Right. And then, there was Transcendence last year, and then there's Chappie in theaters right now. And I think it's interesting to me to sort of look at a continuum and say something like HAL in 2001, and then carry it forward to where we are now. I mean, it feels to me like this notion of being, and if you want to go even further back, Frankenstein, the idea of our creation supplanting us or surpassing us is something that speaks to something fundamental. And I would love your analysis of that in terms of what is it about this idea that keeps us going back to it again and again.
I think we can't help it just because we're obsessed with our own destruction. And I mean, embedded within everything you said is what it all comes down to, I think, is a sense of one's own mortality. I think where my approach to this was, and in a way perhaps this is slightly different to the Frankenstein starting point, although all these things owe a debt to Frankenstein, was to not kind of involve God in it, I guess. I mean, there's a gag about God within it where one of the characters compares himself to God, but he's doing it to wind up the other guy. Sure. He knows what he's doing. He's kind of winding him up, and really to present it not as an act of. The thing is, when God's involved, it becomes a cautionary tale about man not getting above his station. Man not trying to get involved in the work of gods and therefore getting his fingers burned. And I'm not too fussed about that, partly because I don't actually think that the act of creating a new consciousness is a godlike act. It's actually a parental act. Everyone on the planet does this, or at least they may not do it, but they are the result of two other people having done it prior. And simply creating a new consciousness is in that respect is a human level concern. It's not a deity level.
So this isn't, you're tampering in things man really wasn't meant to know. Yeah.
No, it's really not. I mean, not in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
So in the context of this story, and this is when I look at the work that you've done, you've tackled the end of the world by way of
you mean zombies?
Well, would you call them zombies in 28 Days Later? That's always the question.
I would, in as much as when I first sat down to pitch that movie. Before I wrote the script, which was to Andrew MacDonald, the producer.
Sure.
We were sitting in a pizza place in a street in London called Charlotte Street, and I said, "Look, I've got an idea for a film. It's about running zombies, and it's got daylight, and it's in London." It was London daylight running zombies was the thing. And he said, "Oh, that sounds really cool," and then I went off and did it as a spec script and. The reason I say zombies is partly because I don't give a fuck about the sort of the technical differences between the infected and the dead and whether whether they're reanimated corpses or not. The lineage that the film belongs to is zombie movies.
The Romero.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, completely. It was because I'd seen Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead on my neighbour's VCR when I was 13 years old, and I thought, wow. That's where it comes from. And actually, in fact, I say that's where it comes from. It's partially where it comes from. It also came because probably, I don't know, maybe like a year or two before I wrote 28 Days, Resident Evil got released. And sometimes 28 Days Later is credited with like reviving the zombie genre in some respect. Yeah. But actually, I think it was Resident Evil that did it. Because I remember playing Resident Evil, having not really encountered zombies for quite a while, and thinking, oh my God, I love zombies. I'd forgotten how much I love zombies. These are awesome. And so, yeah, it's really Resident Evil that...
Well, it's kind of funny how the remake of Dawn of the Dead was clearly influenced by
28 Days.
So kind of the circle.
It was hilarious. It was absolutely... That really tickled me, actually. And even... I'm probably not allowed to say this, so... No, I'm not going to say it.
Well, and I mean, I think it says something that 28 days later sparked sort of the zombie craze that's there right now. We've got I pronounce it Ex Machina. That is.
I believe you pronounce it correctly. That's how I pronounce it.
Because I've been talking to people who are saying Ex Machina, and I was like, I'm going to ask you.
Well, I say Ex Machina partly because someone I know who's hot on Latin said you pronounce it Ex Machina, but I don't really think it matters. You can pronounce it how you like. Yeah.
Well,
it's like me saying zombies.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Do you give a shit? I said zombie. It's not such a big deal, and I don't think it's a big deal to mispronounce Ex Machina. So, you know.
Well, and I mean, is this something that appeals to you? It's almost like we can look at sci-fi, and I'm simplifying it greatly, but I mean, there's sort of the Star Trek view of sci-fi, and there's the Planet of the Apes view of sci-fi.
Oh, go on. What's the difference?
In that you have sort of the idea of mankind bands together and we overcome our difficulties, or Chuck Heston gets chased through a cornfield, and that's
right.
And
that's interesting.
I see.
I'd have bracketed them as the same kind of sci-fi.
Oh, explain that.
Well, because I think there's some kinds of sci-fi that is basically opera or action and adrenaline, and I think you could probably include. Well, there's lots of sci-fi you could include in that, but say Star Wars, I think you could include in that.
Sure.
And there's other sci-fi which, underneath it, is basically running on ideas. Its main fuel is ideas, and I would say that Planet of the Apes and Star Trek are actually ideas governed. There'll be an allegory in there, or some point about the nature of society, or racism, or class systems, or whatever it happens to be. And so those two I put together, I guess.
Well, and what draws you back to the genre again and again?
The thing we just spoke about, because sci-fi allows really, really big subject matter without having to feel embarrassed about it. And a lot of other genres, including, by the way, straight adult drama, is sometimes really embarrassed at big ideas. And straight adult drama can sometimes be the most embarrassed of all, and it sort of restricts itself sometimes to human relationships, adult relationships, and the nature of divorce, or the sort of a nuance of mortality, or whatever, infidelity, or whatever it happens to be. And the idea of making a sort of adult drama about consciousness or something like that would be almost gauche. And sci-fi just says, do whatever you want. The bigger the idea, the better. Bring it on.
Well, and like I mentioned to you earlier, I need to ask you about Dredd. This is a movie that I love dearly, and I was absolutely crushed when people did not go to see this movie.
And they really did not go to see it in a spectacular way.
Well, and I mean, so
it was like the polar opposite of a box office smash.
Well, it's deeply upsetting to me, because I grew up reading the comic books. I have.
Oh, really?
They've put out the complete collections of Judge Dredd. I've got them all on my bookshelf. Yeah. You know, I mean, and I was probably the wrong age to be exposed to Judge Dredd. Now that I think about it, I was like 5 or 6, which is probably in hindsight.
Yeah, maybe a bit young. I was probably 10, I guess.
It's the design, though. You know, it's visually it's so striking.
Yeah, it was mind blowing for me reading it as a kid.
Well, and what drew you to trying to get that movie made? What was the
It was actually while we were working on Sunshine, and Andrew McDonald came up to me and said, "I think I can get hold of the rights to Dredd," and I said, "I'm in. Don't mention it to anybody else."
Just like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure you hear from people all the time who loved that movie. So I mean,
I do, and it's really gratifying, because when you work on something and it totally bombs, it's kind of crushing. So it's nice when people dig it, and that's really cool. The only issue I have in retrospect with Dredd now, I guess, is I sometimes feel a sense of sort of failed responsibility, I guess. You know, in some respect, when you take on a license, there's a duty of care,
sure,
you know, to the thing that you're adapting, and it's what you don't want to do is kind of spoil the thing that you're adapting for people.
Sure.
A failed franchise makes it very, very hard. It makes it sort of more difficult for the thing maybe than it was before, and it's like the last thing you want. If you love the thing that you're adapting,
right.
the last thing you want to do is damage it.
Right.
So it's partly that is difficult, and partly also I feel very uncomfortable sometimes with the way that I feel fans have got slightly manipulated in campaigns and stuff.
Right.
And I've never tried to encourage that. I've never said anything publicly to encourage that. I particularly feel uncomfortable if people are doing things like buying DVDs in order to
drive up
boost up the thing. I want to say, keep your money, because like the way film studios think is much colder and harder than will be affected by this piece of logic.
Yeah.
They need to generate amounts of money that this will not impact, and that money is better off in your pocket.
Yeah.
But because I don't have any kind of existence in a public forum, I'm not on Twitter or anything like this, and so if I'm not out trying to sell a movie, I'm silent essentially. I haven't been able to participate in this debate, but I don't want it to sound like me or anybody who works on the film isn't incredibly grateful for the support the film gets. I mean, it's really like profoundly gratifying, but I also want to be fair to those people.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you chatting with us.
Pleasure.
Alrighty. So that movie is due out, I believe, on the 17th.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Have you heard anything about it?
I was listening to the Slash Filmcast, and I can't remember who it was, but someone said after seeing Chappie, this was like watching good Chappie.
Good. I think I said that. I said it's bizarro Chappie.
Yeah.
You know, and it really is, because I saw them within a week of each other, and it really did feel that way.
Yeah.
But that's actually due out April 10th, so that's this coming Friday.
Cool.
So look for
Soon.
that.
Yeah, look forward to it.
But moving on, we not that many headlines to discuss actually this time, but we got a few. And just to start things off, Hugh Jackman broke the news this past week that I think broke the hearts of executives at 20th Century Fox, which is that he said he's going to do one more Wolverine. He was going to play Wolverine one more time. And most people are interpreting that to be for the third solo Wolverine movie, which is due out, I think, in 2017. So that rules out his doing any kind of a cameo or whatever in the next X-Men movie. But more to the point, Brian, and this is a question I was asking some other people too. Hugh Jackman bows out as Wolverine. What does that mean to the character of Wolverine in these movies now?
Man, well, I mean, you have to... I just think of, like, continuity. You know what I mean? Like, if they're going to continue moving forward with the actors that we're familiar with in these roles, it'd be really hard to see them acting against a different Wolverine.
Okay,
right?
Sure.
So, I mean, once he leaves, I mean, do you just sort of... I don't know. I mean, do you reboot? You know what I mean? Like, because I know Jennifer Lawrence is leaving shortly.
Sure.
We're probably not going to see Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen moving forward, right? Wasn't the last movie, or at the very least, Apocalypse possibly going to be their swan song?
Yeah. With
the series. I mean, do you just... I don't know. I mean, comic books aside or whatever, but for these movies, I mean, Wolverine is the anchor.
Yeah.
You know, of all these. So, I mean, without him, I mean, do you really need to sort of reset the world so it makes sense?
Is the character... I mean, obviously, if you're Fox, it's not a serious prospect of retiring the character.
Oh, no.
Right? So in other words, they have to be thinking about the next guy who's going to play Wolverine.
Right.
But our audience is going to accept that.
I don't know. I mean, he's been Wolverine for
15 years.
I was going to say for like 2 generations.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. He's one of those rare finds too, because I mean, this is the role that broke him out to everyone, right? But like I mean, it's easier said than done to find a guy who has like the physicality, can come across brutal but also kind of charming,
sure,
and likable, and like, I don't know, not an easy find. So it'll be a tough shoes to fill.
Do you think every time an X-Men movie comes out starring Hugh Jackman that Dougray Scott just has tears streaming down his face?
Probably.
You know? So, you know, because Dougray Scott, of course, is the actor who he had originally been cast as Wolverine. And he was also the villain in Mission Impossible 2. And as a result of that movie, filming overruns on that, he had to bow out of X-Men. And they cast Hugh Jackman like a week into photography.
That's crazy.
And I mean, isn't it weird how sometimes it's just luck, you know?
Yeah.
The way things go, and you've got like a week into photography, Hugh Jackman is like the second or third choice, and he ends up with the role that will define him forever.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dougray, and he's, you know, well, he ended up with Claire Forlani, so I guess the arc of the universe bends towards justice in a way, I suppose.
Huh. When I was a PA, I had to deliver a script to her house.
Is that right?
So, oddly enough, I've been to Dougray Scott's house. Apparently, I didn't even know that.
Now you know. And that's how Brian is involved in this whole...
Yeah.
That's your bit part in this drama.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But, you know, I mean, potentially Hugh Jackman is transitioning out, and you can tell Fox is already looking at ways of spreading the wealth with the X-Men so that all of the eggs are not in the Wolverine basket.
Sure.
Right, and so we got this Deadpool movie, which I don't know particularly that much about the character, but I know that he's a fan favorite character. And the big question was, is this going to be an R-rated movie?
Right.
And so they announced on April Fool's Day, of all things, that yes, in fact, the Deadpool movie will be rated R. And here's my question to you as somebody who is not familiar with the character per se. Is it a smart decision to make a movie like this rated R? Would they have been better off making it PG-13?
Probably.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's just the smart answer, even if it's not the popular answer. But, you know, I mean, you got to respect them for being true to the character. I mean, it's an R-rated character, right?
Sure.
And I mean, I think if we've learned anything a couple years ago, it's that it doesn't matter what fans care about, because that doesn't guarantee success.
Exactly.
Making them happy.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, like actually watching Get Hard this past weekend, you know, it's a very R-rated movie. And I was just thinking, you know, there was a time when it was like every single thing was rated PG-13 because that's the smart money. You know, you can get everybody to see that film. And I was like, you know, it's funny now. They're willing to make these R-rated movies because people just want to be as filthy as they want to be, right?
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like they want to go all the way with their prison jokes.
Right.
You know, exhausting the well of prison rape jokes, and studios are cool with that now, and it makes its own kind of money. So I imagine with Deadpool, you know, if they make it for cheap enough, being true to itself, I guess, could benefit it. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, it doesn't. I don't know if this movie needs to fit into like the Marvel universe. It's not like a linchpin or something that's going to make the whole thing fall apart. You know, it's just. This is what it is, and they're letting it be what it is, and that's kind of cool, I guess. Right?
So so you would argue that we should give Fox some props for being willing to take a risk on something like this.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of conflicted when I say that because I'm the type of person who creatively, I want everything to be the best creative possible version of itself. But on the other hand, like I've worked in the industry, I know how it works. You know what I mean? Like it's a business. You know what I mean? So I understand some of the decisions you have to make to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
But again, you know, so you just you do the math, and it's like it has a little bit lower of a budget for the risk. But if that's the movie you want to make, and that's the movie people want, then you
have to figure. I mean, what's a safe budget for something like this? For, you know, like
40.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right?
50.
If you spend like say $40-50 million on an R-rated movie like this, you will probably do all right.
Right.
But I still don't see it making $100 million.
I have no idea.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose if the word of mouth is good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that would be the thing there. But yeah, it's to me that's what I see with this with the Deadpool and then with Channing Tatum as Gambit. It's kind of like they're Fox is figuring out
Right.
look, we need to spread out our leading men so
Right.
that we don't end up in the situation where Hugh Jackman is sort of threatening to take the whole show with him.
Right.
The other
Right.
thing, by the way, is honestly Hugh Jackman. I mean, the way he looks now, he could probably do the role for another 5-6 years easy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I do think it's a shame that he's retiring.
Yeah. He's probably exhausted though, right? I mean, whenever he does the Wolverine character, he always posts like pictures of himself in
Yeah.
training, and it looks like it's pretty intense.
I'm sure he's just looking forward to eating a burger again, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of never aging, let's talk about the new Mission Impossible trailer here. Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation,
Yeah.
and this is the 5th Mission Impossible movie in 19 years.
Wow.
I mean, think about that. You were a sophomore in high school when the series started.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, that's crazy, and it's still going, and it still has the same leading man, and he still looks exactly the same.
He does, yeah.
So maybe there's something to this Scientology business.
We were wrong, Zaki.
It's possible. By the way, did you see the Tom Cruise footage in that documentary?
Yeah, but I remember seeing that years ago.
Oh, okay.
Something that like leaked on YouTube.
Where he's got the medal, and he's like, "Hail
Yeah.
LRH."
Well, it is kind of funny because that footage was shown without context, years ago, and just sort of like, whoa, look at this weird sort of private ceremony these guys are having, and Tom Cruise is like deeply embedded in it, and it just all looks kind of crazy. Yeah, they're saluting like a picture of L. Ron Hubbard on the wall. But then it's interesting in the context of the film, it was like they were losing Tom Cruise.
Right.
They thought he was sort of drifting away from it. So they just made up some medal to give him.
That's hilarious.
It was like the Medal of Valor and Freedom.
That really is
it
like a
meant
Simpsons
nothing.
plot.
Yeah, it is, but he looked happy to get it. So
But anyway, enough about Tom Cruise's crazy antics. Let's talk about Rogue Nation, the new Mission Impossible movie.
let's talk about Tom Cruise the actor, because I love Tom Cruise the actor.
That's the paradox, because he's just cuckoo bananas as far as some of this stuff goes, but there's no doubting the guy knows how to sell a movie.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Let's play some of the audio from the Mission Impossible trailer here.
Benji,
Ethan, where are you?
the Syndicate is real. A rogue nation trained to do what we do.
An anti-IMF.
Ready or not, here I come.
They're coming after us with everything they've got.
You ready?
Gonna find you.
This may very well be our last mission.
Right. So okay. So this is movie number 5, and it's keeping the let me start that sentence again. The tradition alive of every installment of these movies is directed by a different person, and I think that's smart because it gives every movie a very distinct voice.
right.
So this is Christopher McQuarrie directed this, and it continues the progression from the last one, which I loved, Ghost Protocol, but it looks a little bit more grounded. I mean, would you say that's fair?
Yeah, it had a sort of darker feel to it.
Yeah.
Than the last one. Last one was pretty light.
But
Kind of a
I mean,
bouncy spy
light in a good
picture.
way.
Oh yeah, in a good way. That's probably my favorite one.
That's my favorite of
Or-
all of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have the money shot at the end of this trailer is Tom Cruise, hanging onto an airplane
As it's taking off.
as it's taking off, and per Simon Pegg, that was actually Tom Cruise hanging onto the airplane.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. I mean, it's even the poster for the film right now.
And it's a great poster.
Yeah.
It's perfect because
Yeah,
they know.
I can't wait.
It's interesting, actually, because the poster, or rather, like the DVD box art for Ghost Protocol, was him climbing that building.
Right.
So in other words, they know, like they've got to have like one crazy Tom Cruise stunt every movie.
Well, it's funny because I didn't know what the stunt was for this trailer, but watching it, I was like, well, they have to top him.
Right.
Hanging from that building.
Yeah.
And so what's it going to be? And then when, he's holding on to the plane, it takes off. I'm like, oh, nice. Yeah, that'll do.
Now, this series is amazing to me because I feel like, it feels like the last one came out a while ago.
Yeah. A couple years ago. Because there was a Batman preview before it.
Oh my gosh, you're right. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was December of 11. So actually 4 years is not that long. But it feels like one of these things where I don't know that anybody's necessarily like clamoring for a new Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
But whenever a new one comes out, it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
There's like a baseline of enthusiasm for them.
Yeah. Well, they've always been. I don't remember 2 very well. 2 is probably the most dated of all of them.
Probably, yeah.
But they always deliver. You know what I mean? Like they're you're above average.
I remember strongly disliking the second one.
I don't remember. I just remember it was John Woo.
John Woo, yeah.
So I remember it felt more like a John Woo movie than anything else, really.
Yeah, well, it was about 70% slow motion.
Right, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. If you took out the slow motion, it would have been about 22 minutes long.
Even all the spy antics are always crazy in these movies. You know what I mean? Where he can take a wad of gum and blow up a wall or something. But that one was like the laws of physics did not apply.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like I remember he kicks a gun in the sand and it flies up into his hand, and it was just sort of a bridge too far.
It's disappointing. Yeah, for me, the third one and the fourth one are both my favorites. I thought, and it's funny actually because I remember going to WonderCon, which you SoCal people have stolen from us in the Bay Area. By the way, I'm very upset about that.
And you'll never have it back.
It sure doesn't seem like that. Yeah, I'm still waiting. The WonderCon was our thing. That was our thing. You took it from us. But anyway, in 2006, I went to WonderCon and J.J. Abrams was there, and this was his first movie.
Yeah, that's right.
He was very excited and he showed the bridge attack sequence from the third Mission Impossible. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And it was
cool looking,
just crazy
stunt. Yeah.
And and he was there, and again, it was just typical J.J. Abrams. I mean, you know how he is, but it's just funny to the crowd was probably a third of what it would be right now.
Right. Well, he had just left Lost.
That's right.
To do that, right? So I mean, he was still Lost was still becoming a thing when he was doing that.
And I mean, he was known as the Felicity / Alias guy.
Right.
But before we talk about J.J. Abrams' current project, let's talk about another spy movie that's coming out later this year, and that is Spectre, the 24th James Bond movie, and it is the fourth Daniel Craig James Bond movie. Let's play some of that trailer.
You're a kite dancing in a hurricane, Mr. Bond.
Welcome, James. It's been a long time. And finally, here we are.
All right, so Brian, you just saw this trailer moments before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
So, comparison between Mission Impossible and Spectre, which one are you more intrigued by?
Don't Hate Me, Mission Impossible.
Okay. I hate you. No, it makes sense, actually.
I just feel like Mission Impossible is going to be more of a fun time.
Yeah.
I expect different things from these films. And it's interesting, Spectre had nary an action shot in it.
I thought that was interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like high drama.
Yeah.
And in some ways, almost like it expects you to know what Spectre is in some ways. Like there's a lot of the imagery and the sort of... It relies all on the story or the legend of Bond, let's say. And I'm not super familiar with all this stuff. And so it was sort of almost like I jumped into something I didn't entirely understand. But I just know all the Daniel Craig Bonds have delivered. So I know I'm going to be stepping into another solid film. But, it didn't set me on fire for it necessarily.
Well, here's my question. Because it seems like, to your point, the Mission Impossible, if not movies, I mean movie, has sort of moved into traditionally James Bond territory.
Right.
Which is, these off-the-wall stunts and kind of the heightened reality. Is Bond risking losing its audience by going down this very dark corridor?
Well, it's interesting because it feels like Batman Begins really set the tone for action films for years.
Yeah.
And this, I think, Bond, I don't say this negatively, but was a casualty of that. They're like, we gotta ground him a little bit. This is what people want. They want explanations for everything, and brooding and whatnot. And not in a bad way, because I loved the Christopher Nolan Batmans, and I loved Casino Royale and all Skyfall and all that. But at the same time, it seems like most movies have kind of moved away from that now.
Yeah.
Things have lightened up a little bit. Marvel's lightened things up. Mission Impossible's lightened up. And Bond is still stuck in sort of brooding land.
It's so interesting because Bond's, like, the current version of Bond is a direct response to how far off the wall it got with stuff like Die Another Day.
Right.
Where it's like the invisible car and the ice palace and all this, and then it's like, it's too far. We got to pull it back, and then it's almost like the pendulum has swung too far in that direction.
Yeah, and it's funny because my dad, he's been watching Bond his whole life. He loves Bond. He just showed me Bond films, growing up and stuff. And I was watching this trailer, and I was like, I don't think my dad's gonna like this.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So probably for trailer 2, they need to bust out some stunts or something just to show the wackiness.
Yeah, and funny, I won't tip it too much, but the movie we're going to talk about later, my dad loved.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny because that was kind of bonkers.
You're right.
So anyway, well, what'd you think? You're the Bond guy, so.
They've already got my money. So at this point, I'm excited to see the Spectre organization brought back in. I mean, just for context, Spectre was the villain in the first 7 flicks. Mm-hmm. Right, and a lot of that iconography was taken over by Austin Powers and Dr. Evil and stuff. So I'm intrigued by them doing a more serious version of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, and I don't want to judge the film because I don't know, but certainly I feel like Skyfall found that balance between the serious side and the larger than life aspects.
Uh-huh.
And this is, this one is directed by Sam Mendes, so one presumes that it'll be in a similar vein stylistically. So I just hope the next trailer gives us a little bit more of the stuff that we expect, more of the gadgets and more of the larger than life stuff.
Right.
Now, there is one more trailer that's out right now, and that is the final trailer for Avengers Age of Ultron, which is due out in just under a month, if you can believe that.
May 1st.
God, crazy. It's hard to believe we'll be talking about that so soon. But I have not seen this trailer, Brian, because I'm making a conscious decision. I've decided enough is enough. Enough with over narrated trailers that give us too much information, so that's where I'm at. Have you seen the new trailer for Avengers?
No, because I actually made a decision that enough is enough, and I don't want anything spoiled any further with that movie. And I took a stand with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. So
yeah,
we made
I saw that it. Yeah, we made the same decision. I saw that it dropped, and I was like, no, I've seen more than I want to see.
Exactly.
I just want to go watch it. So
yeah, so we made this decision independent of each other.
Independently, yeah. That's
really funny. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm doing this more and more. Actually, I've actually made this decision that come Star Wars, I'm gonna watch the full trailer that's gonna be in front of Avengers, and then I'm done.
Really?
I'm making the choice.
Okay.
We'll see if that actually happens, but that's where I'm at right now.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Because I feel like, the Phantom Menace trailer, hell, all of the prequel trailers, we watched the shit out of them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I have to believe part of our disappointment stemmed from how awesome those trailers were.
Well, you know what's interesting too? It feels like when those movies were coming out, that was like the birth of like internet movie culture.
Yeah.
Where it was like people would get these, I don't know, they worked at trailer houses or something and they'd see early cuts of the film and they would leak it and you're like, what? Like, I can read about this movie I'm looking forward to. Someone's seen it, they're going to tell me what's in it, and it was like really exciting. And then that happened for like a really long time, and I can't speak for everybody, but it feels like that's sort of lulled a little bit, doesn't it? Like, I don't feel like there's this crazy spoiler, at least online internet spoiler culture so much like there was.
Well,
it seems like a lot of people.
I mean, certainly, I was talking to Pervez a couple days ago, and we had him on. Remember when we were talking about the Phantom Menace? And he was talking about how like when the Phantom Menace was coming out, you would go to like theforce.net every day to see what, and he's not doing that this time. And that sort of underscores what you're talking about, because I know I did stuff like that. Me too. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, I want the joy of my movie experience to be as pure as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think it helps to just like, I don't know who the characters are that Oscar Isaac is playing and Domhnall Gleeson and all these people, like, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Because I don't really feel the need to go into this movie with everything laid out in front of me,
Oh, ditto. Yeah, I mean, I'll watch the trailers and I'll, be teased, but yeah, I'm not going to be seeking out information.
Well, I mean, that being said, let's talk about this now. In terms of Star Wars news, it was announced that the new trailer, the full trailer for Episode 7, which is this hasn't been officially said, but I'm fairly certain it'll be in front of the Avengers. But it's actually going to premiere at Star Wars Celebration.
That's right.
And you're going to that, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
You son of a gun.
Yeah. I was. That was a Christmas present from a friend of mine. So we're gonna. I don't even know what to expect, to be honest. I just, in my head, it's Comic-Con for Star Wars, so I'm like, bring it. I'm excited. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited.
Well, and that's actually, less than 2 weeks from when we're recording, because the trailer will make its debut the weekend of the 18th, I believe.
No, I'm just realizing I need to flip my calendar. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. And I'm excited to see it before Avengers, because I've heard that too. That's supposed to be in front of it.
So you'll actually be seeing the trailer before Avengers comes out.
Hopefully. Yeah, I don't know. I just have this. I'm sure there's like a floor and there's things to see, but I'm just hoping it's not as crazy as Comic-Con trying to get into any hall to see any of these events.
If you're at the Star Wars Con and you don't go to the hall where they premiere the trailer, that feels like a failure to me.
I'm going to be honest with you. I would actually, if they had, the actors, because I know they're going to be there, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, all those people, that to me is worth the haul.
Sure.
And I feel like the trailer, as cool as it would be to be around a bunch of people screaming as it's playing, I'll watch it on my phone later. You know what I mean? Like, I want to walk around. I want to see the models. I want to see the costumes. Like, that's what I want to see, if I'm being honest with you.
Sure.
I want to see the stuff. You know what I mean? I can watch the trailer anywhere.
Well, I read a brief description of some of the shots in the new trailer, and I won't get into that here, except for one thing I will say. It says Han Solo, Princess Leia, R2-D2, and C-3PO are all in there. And I read that, and I just, got a little excited, got to be honest.
Oh, I was going to say, it sounds like someone's missing.
Well, yeah, so apparently no shots of Luke Skywalker are in the film.
Interesting.
Excuse me, in the trailer.
Trailer, yeah.
One presumes he is in the film, actually.
Yes.
By the way, speaking of Luke Skywalker, did you see Mark Hamill was on The Flash this past week?
I saw that he was on, but I don't watch The Flash, so I didn't actually see it.
Well, you are a bad person because you don't watch that show. You actually would like it. You actually should give it a shot. But he played the same character that he played on the old Flash series back in 1990.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah, so he's just played like an older version of the same guy. It's very good. Yeah, he reprised that character, who is the Trickster, which is basically a version of the Joker, essentially.
Seems to be a busy man these days.
I know, good for him. Aren't you? Isn't it nice that Mark Hamill's so busy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as someone who's had a casual conversation with him, I just can't help but root for him.
There you go. Right, but Mark Hamill and Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Did you see him on SNL?
Yeah, I felt he was dealt a terrible episode, but I was really happy to see. I wish he had been given more to work with.
But I'll tell you, I agree with you. But I will say he knocked out his part of every skit that he was in.
Oh, he did his job for sure.
You know,
he brought it.
Yeah,
but
and the monologue was great, folks. If you can watch the monologue, it's very, very funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, so other Star Wars news. This was just announced like minutes before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that they are releasing the entire saga for digital HD. So in other words, you can download the Star Wars movies, and this has not been a thing. People have been waiting for this, and it's finally happening. And for the cool price of $90 or $99, I guess, on Amazon, you can own all 6 movies digitally. And I know this makes me a bad person, but as soon as the announcement, like literally in the time it took for me to see the headline, I had already pre-ordered the digital copies.
Yeah. Well, no, you own the Blu-rays, I assume.
Yes.
So what is the appeal? Because I own the Blu-rays.
Sure.
So I do own these in HD.
Yes.
How would you sell me on getting the digital copies?
Well, you see, you can have the HD, and like if you want to watch it, you don't have to get up and find the disc and hit open and put it in and then like seek the chapter out. Instead, you can sit there and it's there. There's really all that. I mean, honestly, I can't. It's really a way to justify your own laziness.
Yeah. No, I no judgment. I just I don't know. Like I'm not one of these people like, oh, come on. Like I'm sort of like, oh, okay. Well, you know, I need a nudge. But I don't see why I would need the digital copies yet. But it's nice to know they're there. You know,
I'm at a point now where I've actively started shifting over to a digital locker for my movies.
With iTunes?
No, through Vudu.
Okay. Does it make you nervous though? Like, because there are so many different avenues. You know, there's Vudu, there's iTunes, there's Flickster, there's Ultraviolet, there's whatever. I mean, do you know, if you invest, because I think the digital locker thing is awesome.
Yeah.
But like, with so many different companies, it sort of worries me. Like, will one get gobbled up by the other? Will one go out of business? And then I'll lose this whole sort of cache of movies that I invested in. You know, it feels, the concept of it is awesome, but it feels fragile.
So essentially what Vudu does is it uses the ultraviolet copies of movies that you have.
Right.
So in other words, ultraviolet is a format that's accessible through multiple things, right? So you can watch your ultraviolet movies through Vudu and through Flickster and through a bunch of things, right?
Right.
So given that ultraviolet is sort of the standard for the industry, I feel very comfortable that my library will survive even if Vudu were to go away or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is two things. Number one, the quality of your HD stream is comparable to Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then number two, the space factor.
Sure.
Is huge, right? Because for me, like my Blu-ray library was substantial, and I realized I was at a point where I had all these movies that were taking up room that I just was not going to be watching anytime soon.
Right.
So to me, it's much more appealing to be able to say, I have digital copies of whatever I want, and the only space they're taking up is figurative.
Sure. Well, which format did you buy Star Wars on?
So well, see, this is the thing, right? Because it's Disney Movies Anywhere is the format.
Okay.
So you'll actually be, like, if you purchase it, you'll be able to access it through Vudu and through iTunes and through YouTube, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's how Disney's set up. So again, it's about being able to view these movies. I can watch it on my phone at any time if I want to. So what I've realized is that owning a digital copy for some of this stuff is actually worthwhile. Now, that being said, it's not ideal how much it costs, but I think given that they are throwing in so much bonus content, the value does come through.
Which is interesting because that's the one thing that feels like a loss between Blu-ray and digital is I actually still, not for everything, but I still like audio commentaries. Yeah. I like deleted scenes. If they're good, I like behind the scenes. Yeah. And it seems like a lot of times there isn't that bonus content. But it was really interesting that it seems like they made an effort to have worthwhile bonus content with each Star Wars film, right? Each one has its own bonus content.
You'd actually
even
be
including deleted
though,
scenes.
A lot of digital movies now come with the bonus content.
Mm-hmm.
They do, but yeah, to your point, like me, I make a decision. So, for example, like I have the Lord of the Rings as digital copies, but I also kept the discs.
Okay.
Because I want the commentaries and I want the
right.
documentaries and stuff. The Star Wars discs, like I'm going to keep them because I like the commentaries.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like 21 Jump Street. Like I love the movie. Do I need the commentary for it? Not really.
Right.
So I don't mind just having it as a digital copy. So I kind of keep it like on a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, there's so many advantages of owning Star Wars digitally that even like the cost to me is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be for everybody, but I know that my viewing habits have shifted pretty substantially over to the digital model. So
nice.
To me, it makes sense.
After this Friday, you can tell us what you think.
There you go. Yeah, we can do that next time. Yeah, I mean, definitely there are absolutely a lot of advantages to having a digital library.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like, well, what if there's a nuclear holocaust and we lose, And I'm like, that is a concern, admittedly, but I think clean drinking water will be more of a concern.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be worried about my digital movies when Skynet is, using humans for meat or whatever,
Yeah.
That being said, that's our Star Wars conversation. We do have a spoilerific conversation that I wanted to get into about the number one movie in the country.
We should probably have a general conversation first, right? Before we get into spoilers.
Fair enough. Well, we're talking, of course, about Furious 7, which is the seventh Fast and Furious film, and it just opened to just under $150 million domestically, just under $400 million worldwide. This is a phenomenon.
Yeah.
So Brian, give me your non-spoiler take on Furious 7.
My history with these movies, as we've talked about 3 of these movies now?
2 of them.
Within the span of doing the show? 2?
2.
I always liked the first one. It's, Point Break with cars. And then it sort of went a little wayward, and then they reinvented themselves with the 4th one. And I got reintroduced. And they became like heist films with cars. And I feel like what they did well is they embraced a group of characters, sort of like a hip Ocean's 11 group of characters that you like, mixed with action that was just slightly over the top, right? So like kind of bonkers fun. And each movie seems to just get better and better. So I like them. I think with Furious 7, what was interesting about it is I walked out of this movie, my immediate reaction was I freaking loved this movie.
Mm-hmm. You texted me that.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I really did grip my seat because of the action that was happening on screen. And in fact, there's a moment, which we can get into in spoilers, that got me so good. I was so out of breath. I didn't know what to do with myself, so I started clapping. And then the whole theater followed suit and clapped.
Wow.
Because my brother and I just kind of looked at each other, started clapping, and then the whole theater started clapping. So anyway, I loved it. This movie is a blast. It's super fun. That said, with what I just said with the other films, what was so great about those films was their ensemble pictures with this cast of characters that you care about. They keep saying, we're not friends, we're family, and then they've always got like a job that they've got to do. 5, I would say, is probably, in my opinion, the best one so far.
I think that's the opinion of most people.
Yeah, because it found the perfect balance of character, story, but still being silly and fun, but still sort of grounded so you care about what's happening. I felt like Furious 7, when I stepped back from it, so my immediate reaction was, holy crap. I seriously was like, I can't wait to I would turn around and go in and watch it again. That was like my immediate reaction. Mm-hmm. And then when I thought about it a little bit later, I was like, okay, like, this movie really just is action set piece the movie.
There you go.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what the plot of this movie was. The action is amazing, but it is relentless, and that's good because that's what I want. But also, like, there really isn't a whole lot more to this movie than that, right? I mean,
Sure.
what would you say to that?
Well,
right? I mean,
say,
it's basically just set up for like action. Which is great and enjoyable, but again, in these past films, like, there was more plot and story going on, in spite of how.
I would say 5 and 6 are the peak, in my opinion. And not necessarily like it's all downhill from here, but the peak of what you want to aspire to with these movies.
Yes. Exactly what you want to aspire to with these movies. That's a perfect way to say it.
Yeah. But that being said, let's talk spoilers. So,
Zaki never likes to talk unless he can talk spoilers.
That's how I roll. So if you want to hear my non-spoiler thoughts, go to zakiscorner.com, read my review. But otherwise, I'll see you back here right now as we pass the spoiler wall. So let's do this.
Spoiler wall. Here we are.
So here's where I'm at with Fast and Furious 7. I think that you have to grade this movie on a curve, given obviously the horrible tragedy that befell it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like any flaws that you think of, you have to weigh them against, well, we don't know what the original intent was, given what they had to work with. What we do know is that a good third of what we see with Paul Walker in this movie was not actually Paul Walker.
Yeah, and you can feel it, I think. I think I'll say this first and foremost, and this is what my final word on it. I thought they did an amazing job.
Sure, oh yeah, absolutely.
Given their circumstances and trying to not only wrap up that character in a tasteful way, but also give him an appropriate and satisfying send-off in the fictional world, but also for fans of the series. I felt like they nailed it. Yeah. I mean, they did with what they had. They nailed it. But you do feel it. You do feel it throughout the film. And I wanted to ask you about this. I didn't know how they were going to handle his character in the movie, and sure. I always got like a weird sense with every action scene, like, oh, is he going to make it through this? Did you feel that?
I knew, like, because they had said they weren't going to kill him off.
Oh, I don't know if I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they had said, and obviously you leave that like, well, maybe they're just playing, they're playing a game, but I didn't think they would do that.
Yeah.
So to an extent, I was like, well, I wasn't. That being said, the part you applauded, I'm just gonna guess, was it the mountain, the cliffhanger part?
The bus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I loved it.
That was absolutely the highlight of the movie, I think.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
I don't think there's another moment that's as pulse pounding as that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that the climax of the movie, the things that came before it were a little more thrilling, I think, than the climax of the film.
Well, I mean, but, I don't think it needed to be 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's pretty crazy for a movie that really doesn't have a plot.
Yeah. I don't, right. I mean, they could have shaved off even 10 minutes. And I don't think it would have mattered. I think Jason Statham as the villain is an idea that worked better in concept than execution.
Sure.
Because I honestly thought Luke Evans playing his brother was a better villain than Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that he was all presence. There was nothing there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to me, once you have Jason Statham kick the shit out of The Rock, you've sort of blown your wad a little bit as far as he goes.
Right.
Because the fight scene that he has with Vin Diesel at the end was just kind of whatever to me.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I don't know. It's weird because when you watch Fast Five, which I just watched last night actually with my wife, what you appreciate about it is how tightly connected it all is.
Right.
And everything pays off and connects. And to be honest, part of this is Justin Lin, the director, who did the previous 4 movies. I think his hand was really missed here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there was Justin Lin has an ability to string action sequences together in a way where they're bombastic and intense, but you can follow everything.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I didn't have that same sense here. And more than once there were times when I was actively taken out of the movie by the sort of the nonsense that the cars were doing. And I never had that happen, even when like Vin Diesel swings through the air and changes midstream and catches the girl. Like, it never took me out of the movie like it did sometimes with this one.
It didn't. I feel like 4, I think, had a lot of CG sort of car action going on, and you felt it in a negative way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this one did feel a little like the physics were a little wackier.
Yeah.
Than the past 2 films have been. I'll admit it, because like I said, I really enjoyed it, so it didn't bother me so much, but it did feel more heightened than the previous films.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, I mean, all you can do is speculate what before, Paul Walker passed, like what was the aim of this movie?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They had to change the aim of this movie from the very beginning. You know what I mean? Like the plot is basically... in what I think it is they probably rejiggered it from the very start to be like, well, Paul Walker misses this, or Brian, his character, misses this, sort of the action, because now he's become domesticated.
Yeah.
And then it's like the action, finally he decides that, he'd much rather be with a family man.
Yeah.
But, obviously that, I don't think that was the plot from the beginning. So it makes me wonder... I don't know. You just wonder what the movie was.
Well, it's actually really interesting because I was reading today about the stuff that we assume that he shot, but that actually was done without him.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that it's a big, big chunk of this movie that he wasn't around for.
I felt it. I felt it because there's a lot of reaction shots, but not a lot of talking.
Well, like the entire scene where where they're overseas, him and Mia, and he sets up like the thing in the garage. Like the FBI station in the garage, and he's.
Oh yeah.
None of that was he wasn't around for any of that.
Oh wow.
Right, and then like in the beginning when the house blows up and he's like flung against the car,
Yeah.
that wasn't him.
Right.
The entire, the last action sequence with Tony Jaa, that wasn't him.
Oh, really?
That entire action scene at the end, he wasn't there for that fight scene. And it's crazy to be like, oh my gosh. And you realize, basically if it involved him just grunting or whatever, it was probably one of his brothers.
Right.
Right. But I think this I'm picking on the movie. And I honestly I liked it. I did like the movie. I actually went and saw it with Pervez, and he hated it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
just for like such a strong reaction against it, I would wonder.
Yeah. Well, he's just cranky, He's listening to this, so I know he can say no. But I think it does require a certain amount of emotional investment in the characters and whatnot, and I would imagine that if you don't have that, it would be harder to buy some of the nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is important because I have a feeling that your reaction to the film is, not you specifically, but in general, your reaction to the film is directly correlated with your reaction to the ending. Because the ending is one of these things that, depending on your connection with the series, will paper over any of the flaws.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously, they needed to pay homage to Paul Walker. They needed to bid farewell to Brian, and they did it in the best. I mean, arguably the only way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Which is essentially the filmmakers saying, "Hey, we all know what this is,"
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't kill off Brian, but they effectively kill off Brian.
Sure.
Right, because I mean, think about it. In the context of these movies, there's realistically no way that if Brian is alive, he's not a part of the action.
For sure. And that's sort of what I was trying to say, is like I feel like we didn't get to see the real plot of this movie.
Yeah.
And so we still got all the action, but they had to figure out how to cobble together something to get to a point that they needed to get to.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, I mean, I guess maybe I'm grading this on a curve a little bit.
Yeah.
I recognize that it was a little blunter than some of the other ones, and maybe not as, I don't know, didn't organically come together as well as some of the others did. But like, I still had a blast watching it.
Yeah.
Just on a visceral level. I mean, like, driving the car through 3 buildings. Like I loved it.
It's funny because at the very end you have the scene where you think Dom is dead, and then it turns into like a telenovela there at the end there,
right?
But and then he kind of wakes up, and then the camera pulls out and we see sort of the wrecked like parking garage that they're in.
Right.
I was like, it would have been funny if we pull out and just all of LA is just like a crater.
Yeah.
Because that's how much, like, if I think Superman and General Zod fighting in Metropolis did less damage to the city than what we see in this movie,
Right.
This is a highly populated area where apparently everyone in LA left for the weekend.
Carmageddon.
When the drones were attacking the city.
Yeah.
that was my and again I'm picking on it, but it is nitpicking because again I did enjoy it. That being said, where do we go next?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, good show, Brian. Thank you.
Well, hey, Universal's not paying me, so I'll just show up and buy a ticket.
I mean, what happens next? Like, I mean,
it's another mission, I guess.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Because I was thinking about this, and I'm like, if you told me they weren't doing any more of these movies, I would be okay with that.
This is a good ending, I think. But I mean, there's in 3 days it makes almost $500 million at the box office. It's just not going to happen,
right? Of course, we recognize that. But I mean, it's like I'm just like if we've maxed out on this. Is it time to sort of tonally do a Spectre, if you will?
Change. Well, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, not a reboot, right? I'm not saying
no,
that.
No, I know, but sort of rethink itself a little bit.
Like pull back a little bit. Do something closer in tone to, the original one, for example.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, can you? Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to make 10 movies, I guess you can have a little time to move all over the place tonally.
And that's what they're saying, right? They're going to do 3 more is the plan now.
Holy cow, really?
Well, I think Vin Diesel will be racing in a wheelchair when all is said.
Yeah.
He'll have NOS and,
Wow.
I mean,
so it makes me wonder. I mean, if they have 3 more planned out, then it feels like they probably have some sort of an arc going on, I mean, that's the thing that's kind of cool, how they cross the stories.
Yeah, and
it's not like just mission and move on, then mission, like a Bond film or a Mission Impossible film. I mean, they carry over.
I read an interview with James Wan earlier today, and he talked about how the original plan was that they were going to set up the next one in this.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the stuff happened with Paul Walker, so they made the decision that let's focus on giving closure to this story, and then we'll worry about the next one when we do. But because the last few have done that, right? Where it always ends with like the teaser for the next one.
Yeah.
And they specifically didn't do that this time.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. That made sense, though.
Well, and let's talk really briefly about the tribute to Paul Walker. I'm assuming you found it effective.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, again, it's like, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world what they wanted it to be, and it gets pretty damn close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, at the very end, so we have, the whole gang, they're at the beach and they're watching Brian sort of in the distance with his family and whatnot. And I don't know, as I was watching it, there was almost like a dreamlike quality to that whole thing, because it's like you're in a dream. And you ever had that happen where like you want to talk to somebody or something, but they're so distant?
Yeah,
and
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and that's because you see him in the distance, and like we know, well, he's gone. Like that's not really him,
Right.
And then of course the whole thing with the race and everything, you can tell looking at it that that's not actually him. That actually is that's his brother, and they digitally put a Paul Walker mask on his brother, essentially.
Right, from like another scene, maybe from another film.
And it's amazing, It's amazing what technology allows you to do.
Yeah, yeah. But it really did. It made sense, and I think the emotion. I heard people crying in my theater. My mom said she cried.
Wow.
So obviously it was effective.
So now, are your parents fans of this series?
They became fans, actually. I think around when most people were sort of starting to catch on to it with the fifth one and everything. And
wow, okay.
Yeah. My dad loved it.
Wow. He loved this one.
He loved this one. He's like the past couple, but yeah, he really enjoyed this one.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny because I got into the series because of you guys.
Right.
Because you and Sean were both like, oh, you should watch the fifth one, and I did, and so here we are.
Yeah, they're fun, and I'm glad they'll keep going.
Me too. I'm with you. I'm looking forward to seeing whatever they end up doing with the next one.
And I hope that they do keep trying to evolve, and just let the series become what it wants to become.
Right. And yeah, I mean they've done a good job of doing that thus far, so one presumes they'll keep that mojo going. But that brings us right up to the end of our time, Brian.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
It as always, yeah. So as we wrap things up, as I ask you every time, Brian, where can people find you online?
At everythingbrian.blogspot.com, Brian with an I, and I'm on Twitter at everythingbrian. But I don't use it very often, so don't take it personally.
Well, I'm gonna do my semi-regular check-in. Let's see where we're at with Brian. And Brian's last tweet is dated, let's see, March 9th. It says, "Good night from me and the Animaniacs." Well, that's...
Oh, yeah, I was at the Warner Brother lot, so I took a picture of the tower where the Animaniacs live.
So, Brian, I guess you had a brief flirtation with Instagram.
Yes. Yeah, I started using Instagram, which I'm having fun with, and I saw that you could link it to Twitter, and I was like, maybe this will get Zaki off my back.
It will not. Just so you know. So this bi-weekly thing that we have, it will continue into the near future.
All right. Fair enough.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Zaki's Corner, and I do tweet fairly often, and I do respond. Unlike Brian, I'm not a jerk. So,
I respond when people reach out. I respond. I just don't put a lot out there myself.
Yeah. So really, you're blaming the audience, Brian. You're like, if you tweeted me more, I'd respond, right? But you can find me on Twitter. I'm also, you can reach my blog at zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. And also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews go up regularly, as does this show. We're also at moviefilmpodcast.com, as well as facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. Please do like our page. Also hit up iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Write us a review. Let us know how we're doing. The more you tell us, the more equipped we are to help you. So please keep giving us your feedback. Also, you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. I think that brings us right to the end of the numerous ways you can reach out to us. But please do reach out again in 2 weeks when we will be talking about all the latest news right before Avengers 2 comes out. So lots to look forward to. The summer season is about to start, so we're looking forward to talking to you as it unfolds. On behalf of Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is the Movie Film Podcast. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends. It's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zach and Sean and Ryan are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Hey, Bushra, it's Brian. Just in case you don't have time to go back to episode 6 and hear what we had to say about time travel movies, I'll just go ahead and put it out there. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I love that movie. One of my favorite time travel movies. I think it totally holds up in spite of its 80s-ness. Anyway, Brian Hall, out.